In today's world, we're constantly bombarded with messages about motivation from self-help books, podcasts, and social media influencers, all promising to spark the fire within us to achieve our dreams. But here's the truth: motivation is fleeting. It's hard to stay inspired all the time, and when that external push fades, we often find ourselves stuck or procrastinating. What if there was a way to live well without needing constant motivation or inspiration? What if, instead of relying on external factors to get us moving, we could tap into something more stable, discipline, and inner purpose? This is where Stoicism offers a profound shift in perspective. Epictetus, a great Stoic philosopher, once said, "First say to yourself what kind of person you wish to be, then act accordingly." Stoicism teaches us that true action doesn't depend on our mood or external motivation. It comes from within, rooted in our values, purpose, and discipline. If you've ever struggled with staying motivated or feeling like you need external inspiration to keep going, stay with me through this video. We'll explore how Stoic philosophy can help you act with purpose, build discipline, and live well, regardless of how you feel in the moment. Be sure to subscribe to the channel for more Stoic wisdom on living a meaningful and disciplined life. Let's reflect on this profound quote from Epictetus. First say to yourself what kind of person you wish to be, then act accordingly. Epictetus, this quote highlights a core Stoic teaching. Our actions should be guided by our values and the kind of person we aim to become, not by fleeting emotions or external motivation. In a world that often encourages us to wait for inspiration to act, Stoicism teaches us that true action is rooted in a deliberate choice to live according to our principles, regardless of how we feel at the moment. When we define the person we wish to be, one who acts with purpose, integrity, and discipline, we no longer need to wait for motivation to strike. Instead, we can act according to our values, regardless of our mood or external circumstances. This type of internal motivation is far more reliable than the temporary bursts of enthusiasm we often experience from external sources. Think about it. Who do you want to be today? What kind of actions align with the person you aspire to become? When you act from this place of purpose, your actions are no longer dependent on external factors, but are a reflection of the values you choose to live by. Epictetus quote, "First say to yourself what kind of person you wish to be, then act accordingly," invites us to focus on internal motivation rather than relying on external sources of inspiration. In today's world, we are constantly told that we need motivation to get things done, whether it's for work, personal growth, or fitness. Motivation feels like the key to success, but we all know it's fleeting, and it's hard to stay motivated all the time. Stoicism, however, teaches us that discipline and deliberate action should be the foundation of our lives, not fluctuating motivation. Instead of waiting for the perfect moment of inspiration, we can choose to act according to our values and the type of person we want to be. This type of action isn't dependent on how we feel in the moment. It's rooted in the belief that we can act with purpose, regardless of external circumstances or emotional states. Think about this for a moment. When was the last time you acted based solely on what you knew was right, even when you didn't feel like it? Maybe it was following through on a goal, doing the right thing in a tough situation, or even just maintaining your routine, even when motivation was nowhere to be found. The Stoic approach is to decide who you want to be and then commit to taking actions that align with that vision, regardless of external factors or how you feel that day. For instance, if you want to be someone who is fit and healthy, you don't need motivation to get to the gym. You just need to act in alignment with that value. The same goes for your work, relationships, and personal growth. When you focus on the kind of person you want to become, your actions naturally follow. Without the need for constant external motivation, ask yourself, what kind of person do I want to be? When you define your values, you begin to live in a way that reflects those values, which gives you an internal source of motivation that doesn't rely on temporary inspiration. This kind of internal drive is far more powerful and lasting than any fleeting moment of external motivation. Now that we've reflected on the idea of acting in alignment with our values, let's explore some practical Stoic strategies to help you live well without needing constant external motivation. Discipline, purpose, and consistency are at the core of Stoic action, and these principles can help you take consistent steps toward your goals, regardless of how motivated you feel in the moment. 1. Define your core values and align your actions. The first step in living without relying on external motivation is to define your core values, the qualities you want to embody and the person you want to become. Once you've clarified who you want to be, the next step is to make sure your actions align with those values. This process eliminates the need for motivation because your actions are now guided by a deeper sense of purpose. For example, if you value health and fitness, the Stoic approach is not to wait for motivation to strike in order to go to the gym. Instead, you commit to action because it aligns with the kind of person you wish to be. When you act according to your values, your actions no longer depend on external factors or emotional states. They become part of who you are. Ask yourself, what values do I want to live by? Once you know what kind of person you wish to be, commit to living in alignment with those values daily, without waiting for motivation to come from the outside. 2. Build habits that reflect your vision. The Stoics understood that small, consistent actions lead to long-term results. Motivation can be fleeting, but disciplined habits are enduring. Rather than relying on bursts of motivation to push you forward, focus on building habits that reflect the person you want to be. When you make these habits automatic, they no longer require the fuel of motivation to keep going. For example, instead of waiting for the right mood to work on your personal projects or practice self-care, establish daily routines that keep you moving toward your goals. Consistency builds momentum, and over time, these habits will require less mental effort to maintain, because they become ingrained in your daily life. Ask yourself, what habits can I implement today that align with my goals? Whether it's waking up earlier, reading more, exercising regularly, or practicing mindfulness. The key is to build small actions into your routine that don't require motivation to follow through on. 3. Focus on the process, not just the outcome. Another key Stoic principle is focusing on the process, not just the result. Too often, we get caught up in the desire for quick results or instant gratification. But Stoicism teaches us to focus on the daily actions and effort, not just the end goal. When we become too fixated on the outcome, we become discouraged when immediate results aren't visible. Instead of focusing solely on the destination, celebrate the effort and progress you make along your way. Every step you take toward your goal is a victory, and focusing on the process allows you to stay engaged with the task at hand. By valuing the journey, you take the pressure off of having to constantly feel motivated, and you begin to appreciate the value of each small action you take. Ask yourself, how can I focus on the daily process and actions, rather than obsessing over the final result? The more you appreciate the journey, the easier it becomes to stay engaged without needing motivation to fuel your actions. 4. Use discomfort as fuel for growth. One of the most powerful Stoic practices is to embrace discomfort as an opportunity for growth. Life isn't always easy, and neither is personal progress. Instead of waiting for motivation to strike, take action even when it's difficult or uncomfortable. Discomfort helps build resilience, strength, and character. For example, if you're working on a difficult task, or if it feels hard to stick to your routine, embrace the discomfort. Rather than waiting for the right moment or a surge of motivation, commit to moving forward, knowing that this discomfort is helping you grow stronger. Ask yourself, how can I embrace discomfort today to build resilience and grow? When you choose to act in the face of difficulty, you build mental toughness and strengthen your inner resolve. 5. Detach from external validation. Lastly, Stoicism teaches us to detach from the need for external validation. When we rely on external motivation or validation to drive our actions, we give away our power. True motivation comes from within, from our values, our commitment, and our understanding of what's truly important to us. When we act because we want to, not because we need someone else's approval, we build a sense of inner purpose. This self-generated motivation is much stronger and longer-lasting than the fleeting boosts we get from others or external sources of inspiration. Ask yourself, how can I cultivate internal motivation rather than seeking approval or validation from others? By looking inward and grounding your actions in your personal values, you can stay on track regardless of external circumstances. By defining your core values, building habits, focusing on the process, embracing discomfort, and detaching from external validation, you can live well without needing constant external motivation. Stoicism teaches us that discipline, purpose, and alignment with our values are the true sources of sustained action, regardless of mood or inspiration. As we wrap up today's discussion, let us reflect on the core Stoic lesson. True action doesn't depend on fleeting motivation or external inspiration. In a world where we're constantly bombarded with motivational content and quick fixes, Stoicism teaches us that discipline, purpose, and alignment with our values are the keys to lasting progress and fulfillment. Epictetus wisdom. First say to yourself what kind of person you wish to be. Then act accordingly. Reminds us that our actions should be guided by who we want to be, not by how we feel in the moment. When we align our actions with our values, build habits based on purpose, and embrace discomfort as a tool for growth, we create lasting motivation from within, a much more reliable and sustainable source than any external push. So, I encourage you today to think about the person you wish to be. What values do you to live by? How can you take consistent, disciplined action toward becoming that person, regardless of external motivation? Living well doesn't depend on chasing inspiration. It's about doing the work, day in and day out, based on the person you want to become. Thank you for joining me today. If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to continue exploring Stoic wisdom and how to live a life of purpose, discipline, and inner motivation. Share your thoughts in the comments below. How do you stay motivated and aligned with your values, even when external motivation fades?